Let's get into the latest when it comes to media and information, misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about this. And the latest is coming from the BMJ, or the British Medical Journal, which is owned by British Medical Association. Now, this is pretty interesting what they got going on with this, because we're seeing it coming from what is deemed a healthcare or a website built specifically for healthcare professionals. And the latest report from BMJ is about how behavioral interventions are needed to reduce vitamin hesitancy, which is driven by misinformation on social media. Does this sound at all familiar from what we've been hearing? So let's take a look. Coming from the BMJ, you can see at the top, intended for healthcare professionals. I am not a healthcare professional at all, but I'm still going to take a look because that's what I do. And it says behavioral interventions to reduce vitamin hesitancy driven by misinformation on social media. And you can see the full collection where it says, how are social media influencing vitamins? Yep, vitamins. Let's take a look. Just some key messages, because we're not going to go through the whole report. We don't have time to do that. Don't. We're not going to do that. But it's just key messages. Substantial evidence shows the negative effects of vaccine information. I just said a word that I shouldn't have said on social media. I did not say that at all. AI, don't hit me. Evidence on the effectiveness of interventions to correct or mitigate misinformation is considerably more limited and rarely includes measures of true vitamin uptake. The evidence available does indicate ways forward to develop better methods, particularly those that would be less likely to backfire in the way that blanket social media bans have, and the need for such actions is urgent. No, this is an emergency. We got to get this done now, urgently. It says misinformation on social media has strong effects on behavior, and the evidence base for interventions to reduce these effects is limited, but approaches to evidence generation are possible. Well, basically what they're saying is the truth is getting out on social media, or maybe not truth, but things are getting out, which is making people think for themselves and make decisions for themselves when these things is getting out. So we must come up with, as health professionals, interventions to make sure that that does not happen. That's, in layman's terms, what they're trying to put forward with this, again, healthcare journal. Very interesting. Now, if you go through and you read the stuff, you can go check it out if you want to. It goes on to speak of interventions almost identical to those found in media and big tech in general. We understand what's been going on with not only censorship, but shadow banning and hiding things, full on just removing people from platforms. And they're going to great lengths to make sure that their narratives get promoted and pushed to the top, while everybody else either gets sunk and shadow banned or just outright banned in itself. Now, creation of guidelines on user content, boosting narrative health propaganda, more proactive involvement on social platforms to correct information or flag content they don't like. That's what they're trying to push on this. So, new creation of global content or global guidelines on user created content. They want to be able to monitor, moderate, and basically approve anything that wants to go on social media. They want new guidelines on this stuff. They want to boost the narrative for health propaganda. So that means all their stuff goes to the top. If you search for it, you're just going to get bombarded with any type of source that comes from the approved propaganda from the people at the top. I've showed videos before where it has the UN chick at the WEF meeting. This was, I think it was 2 years ago. Could have been a year ago. Don't mark me on that. But she was talking about how they're in partnership with Google. They own the science, and they make sure that their information, their narrative, their agenda is the first things that pop up in the search engine, and everybody else gets pushed down. They want to make sure it's their propaganda, their narrative that's at the top of the search engine or anywhere that you look. And they're working in partnership with Google and Microsoft and all these people to do that. So this is what they're talking about when it comes to that. Then they said proactive involvement on social platforms to correct information or flag content they don't like. Basically, they want the healthcare professionals, remember, this is built for them. They want the healthcare professionals to be on social media correcting and flagging information that they see on there. They're trying to create an army of brainwashed healthcare providers to go on social media and either correct people, quote unquote, or just outright flag them and get their content removed or banned. They want to create an army to do this type of thing. Now, I think this was back in 2020 or 2021. I think it was called Project Halo. This is one that they had going on where they had healthcare professionals get, I don't know if they were paid or not, but they would recruit healthcare professionals to go on TikTok and create short videos designed to go to the younger crowds promoting and pushing vitamins. And that was an actual thing, an actual program that they had going. I think it was Project Halo. I talked about it a long time ago, but I think that was what it was called. But yeah, they actually had people go on TikTok. Well, they want people to do the same thing, healthcare professionals to do the same thing, but on all the social media platforms as well. This is what they're pushing for their healthcare people to do. You see, this is just all sorts of wrong, right? Also in the report, they've even used the recent return of measles. I don't know if you guys have been following that, but there's been some uptick in some people with measles as a result of vitamin hesitancy. That's right. They are now blaming that uptick of measles because of the hesitancy to get the vitamins. See how they're trying to work this? And this was created, or it's created an avenue for the WHO to declare a vitamin resistance as a global health emergency. That's right. The WHO is now out there saying, well, because people no longer trust the vitamins because of all the misinformation on social media, we now have an uptick in measles because of it. This is now becoming the misinformation of healthcare on social media has now become a global health emergency. You see how this is rolling into something bigger, and keep in mind what's coming up May. The WHO Pandemic Accord is coming up in May. Something to keep in mind on that. Now, it even speaks on 2020, and the reason it went on for so long was because of the social media misinformation causing people not to get the stick, get the vitamin. They basically blamed the reason why the 2-week curve went on for so long was because of misinformation on social media. That's what they're blaming. And so BMJ then goes on to talk about reprogramming behaviors. If this sounds familiar, because this is the same thing that Larry Fink said of the DEI in corporations and business. They need to force behavioral change. They need to reprogram behaviors in order to make this happen. Well, they're doing the same thing for here on healthcare as well. Whenever they talk about reprogramming people's behavior, you got a problem. You got a big problem there. BMJ suggests mandatory vitamins for healthcare workers, larger and more public health campaigns, because we don't have enough propaganda as it is, and pay attention to this one now, using trusted leaders to promote the vitamins. Kind of like how Javier Milei, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump all promote the vitamins as well. Trusted leaders on the right side, isn't it? Just saying. Just saying. Now, the BMJ speaks on pre-bunking information in order to retain control of information and stay ahead of the latest what they call propaganda or misinformation, but stay ahead of the latest information that comes out on social media and to counter it before it even spreads. So basically, they want to be able to know what direction the latest information coming out on social media, what angle, curve, direction they're going to take it. They want to know that before it spreads too big, so they can then pump out a counter to it before that other thing even spreads too big. So this is their way of pre-bunking information or getting ahead of the curve when it comes to the information that they don't want getting out on social media. They want to have the answer already out and in their campaigns before it that idea, that information even hits social media. So this is where we start getting into what happened at the latest Davos. Because if we jump over to the recent Davos, we'll see them speaking on some of these exact things. So first up, I got a couple of clips here to help you get an idea of what's going on. First up is New York Times CEO Meredith Kopit Levien. I think that's how you pronounce it. Everybody has to have weird names, I swear. Whatever happened to just Joe Smith? We need more Joe Smiths in the world. Anyways, but yeah, this is New York Times CEO Meredith Levien, and she's talking about what's going on the media side of this stuff. Check this out.
What tech advancement, which also gave us so much, including much more audience for our work, it led to the platforms led to the proliferation of low quality content. And you asked what can be done about that. Better signals, tech providing better signals to distinguish between independent fact-based journalism and all the other stuff. Quite important, still plenty more work to do there. I think it's more than labeling. I mean, Google actually has been has made real progress on this over the years. It's how does search work? How are things indexed? We're entering a next chapter of the information ecosystem. How will quality content be pointed to? How will it be acknowledged? How will it be surfaced at great scale?
Yeah, so she's basically just saying, we need this group of people that we approve of over here getting promoted and being featured, and we're going to use Google to do it. And then we want everybody else over here where nobody's going to be able to see this stuff, because they're not approved. They're not saying the narratives that we want. They're not working with our people and all these things. She's talking about making sure that this expands, enters into the new ecosystem of news and media. And she wants to separate these types of things. This is what they're working on when it comes to this. The goal is to certify and raise up only the approved propaganda. All right, so we got an idea. That's from, again, these are clips from this past Davos that's going on here. So we got an idea what's going on from the media member. Now let's take a look at what the vice president of the European Commissions, if I could say this, hold on. Let's take a look and see what the vice president of the European Commission, Vera Jourova, has to say about this as well. Let's take a look.
Vera, can we go to you first? You're Vice President of the European Commission. You are looking at all the challenges that we're facing. If you look at the WEF's Global Risk Report for 2024, it says that disinformation is actually the top risk which people cited for the next couple of years. You're looking at both the European elections taking place this year, but also increasingly finding that this whole topic of misinformation, disinformation is going right up the political agenda. Can you talk a bit about how the EU thinks about that and what kind of measures you're taking?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you for inviting me. Well, disinformation is a security threat. So here comes the series of actions which we are taking at the EU level to equip the people with the facts so that they can make their autonomous choice. There are 5 elements. First of all, we need to have strong professional media and safe place for journalists to do the job. Second thing, work with the platforms. And here comes the fact-checking mainly. And we have all the big tech under the commitment of the Code of Practice Against Disinformation. Again, I can say more. Third thing, important, better communication from the side of politics. I remember times when politician was caught lying, he was disqualified. Yeah, maybe we should come back to this practice. But also communication in the sense of pre-bunking. Disinformation is not so uneasy to predict. The fourth thing, awareness raising, lowering of the absorption capacity in the society to believe the lies. This is long-term, long distance run, but we have to do it. Last resort solution, law enforcement reaction. And we see the rise of anti-Semitism, which is full of conspiracy theories, which have the potential to incite violence in real life. We see again the David stars on the synagogues and on the buildings of Jewish people. And this is the case for police. So these 5 elements, sorry I was a bit long, but this is how we have, this is a broad concept which we take in the EU.
There was a lot there. Hopefully, guys, we're catching some of that stuff. Here's some of the things that I caught from that. First of all, fact checking. Basically, this has to do with, again, if we line it up with what the BMJ says, having people go on there and correct people or flag and have it and get these things removed. That's part of fact checking, not just the thing that pops up and says fact check, it's wrong type of thing, according to what we're being told what it's about. But she goes on to say fact checking, making sure that only their stuff is getting approved, only their stuff is out there, and making sure people only follow that. The next thing she talked about, again, was pre-bunking. This is the stuff that, again, we just saw in the BMJ journal about getting ahead of the curve and making sure that they have the answers already out there before the new information on social media begins to spread even bigger. Then the last one is concerning. Law enforcement against conspiracy theories. Now, she used the anti-Semitism there. Don't get blinded by that. What she's talking about is she wants law enforcement to go and shut down, arrest, and detain anybody that starts putting out conspiracy theories. That is what the next move is that they want to do. Now, again, don't get blinded by the Semitism thing that she's talking about. Just look at the roots, the foundation of what she was discussing. Law enforcement against conspiracy theories. That's not good, because we already know they just deem anything a conspiracy theory, even if it's something that they already talk about. How many times have we heard these people talk about a new world order, but yet anytime it's said on a YouTube video, it pops up with a Wikipedia page saying it's a conspiracy theory? They've said it, but yet it's still a conspiracy theory. They write the rules. They are the judge, jury, and executioner. Doesn't matter. If they don't like it, they're going to come after you. Now, pretty much the same playbook that we just heard from these people is the same thing that we've heard the UN talk about, that we've heard the WEF talk about, and we've heard the BMJ just talk about. I mean, we went over that recent report. I have a feeling the next wave of things that we're going to start seeing is going to be pretty big moves when it comes to the online area of things. I think we haven't seen anything yet. I know we talk a lot about what's going on with censorship and stuff. I don't think we've seen anything yet.